So let me bring up my little note taking. So tell me a little bit about Pitch Kitchen. What do you guys do?
So, as you talked about earlier, most marketing is bad. Most marketing is just hype and bragging and trying to convince people of why the thing that you're selling is awesome and you should buy it. And that maybe falls on years and years of bad selling. So I know that because I was a salesperson for a company and I was given a sales deck by marketing, and I say that with a snicker because the sales deck from marketing that I think we all have seen is the one that doesn't actually help us sell. It just has hype and how everything is perfect and seamless and company logo slides. And I got really frustrated that it wasn't actually helping me and my team sell. So deleted it and I created very clean slides that were beautifully designed that had only a few words on it. And most of the words had question marks. They were questions. They were conversation based. And all of a sudden, my team sales started turning around, and we started crushing big deals, multi-million dollar deals with companies like Apple and Texas Instruments. So we changed the game on how to present. It started We started presenting by having the right conversations, and that created a pretty big insight for me that the whole way that we sell and the way that we market is wrong. So I started as a side hustle designing sales presentations for organizations that were on this based on these 12 conversations that I realized are necessary in order to close $1 million deal. And the company grew like wildflowers. I started the side hustle and then I quit my job because I was earning so much more money on my own. And that was 2017. And so we are now invoicing about 100K a month, and we're working with CEOs um, of growth stage and startup companies that are wanting to attract ideal customers, amplify their marketing, grow sales, not just through sales presentations, but through a better website, through a better story to tell. And so we design narratives that show up on the website, on every bit of social media, every bit of marketing that they could ever do. And we also, in the last 3 months, have been training GPTs on the marketing frameworks that we come up with, so that what we're delivering is an artificially intelligent copywriter, so that the GPT from OpenAI that we train, my clients use that to get to 100% on brand content. So that's been a new amazing development. So not only we call ourselves an AI, um, well, actually, I don't like to use AI. think co-intelligent marketing agency, where we're using AI not just to develop the best narratives that are really crushing it in B2B, but also delivering co-intelligent marketing agents that our clients are using to generate torrents of great marketing content.
Let me go back to something. I want to understand the underlying problem a little bit better because obviously I share some of the concern when you say marketing is broken. What does that look like? What do you see out in the wild that tells you marketing is broken? Besides the fact that your own team gave you a deck
Yeah,
that
there's
works.
two things. The focus on most marketing is on the product instead of focused on the problem. And if you sold anything in your life, most marketers haven't sold anything in their lives. If you sell anything in your life, you know the only reason why someone would buy anything is if they themselves recognize that there's a real problem in their business. And so that's what I consider the foundation for marketing, foundation for selling. Um, but that's not what most marketing considers. Most marketing is about hype, bragging, and product, how trying to scream louder than the next guy about how great your product is, almost like a medieval marketplace. And it doesn't work anymore in a world that's changed, in a world where buyers make up their minds of what they're going to buy by their own research, not by a salesperson trying to tell them how great their product is.
Why do you think that problem exists, if you've given that any thought? I mean,
Yeah, it's historical. I think we did come from a world where humans had to shout in medieval marketplaces about how great their solution is. But the internet came out, and buyers do their own research and come to their own conclusions. And you don't need to scream on the mountaintops anymore about how your product is the best ever. Um, and that's the first thing. The second thing is that uh, the way people um, come to the realization of your credibility and authority and the reason why your product is the best is not because you have a lot of logos on your site or because you say your product is great. It is because you have described their problem better than they have even described it or understand it themselves. And to that degree, you will be able to establish your credibility and authority. And so that's problem centric, it's problem based. So what I mean by that is if you go to a doctor and the doctor is asking you questions and can describe the pains that you have and the impact of that pains and what happens to you at 2 in the night and morning, better than you can like describe it yourself, like, wow, this doctor really understands what I'm going through. You will have um, more confidence in the prescription that that doctor offers than the doctor that takes one look at you and writes you a script, um, says this is exactly what you need, this is the best thing ever. And it could be that the doctor that gives you the script, uh, without talking to you, without expressing their understanding of your problem, that doctor is the best doctor in the world. But the way that we humans um, come to our own conclusions of credibility and authority is through this problem centric conversation.
so it raises an interesting question, and I don't want to get too far afield, but there's a little bit of philosophy here that I'm trying to get at, which is there's an assumption, and I'll just use search as an example, that when people do search, they search for solutions, they don't search on problems. You have
Yeah.
a view on that?
Yeah. Well, SEO is dead. Number one. Number two, the new SEO is using the words that we use to describe our own problems. So what I mean by that is, you know, it is said that Alexa and Google and our phones are listening to our conversations. And whether you believe that is true or not, the future of AI is going to be such that the AIs will know what we want even before we know what we want. And so the old way of SEO was to find the keywords that people were using to when they were hunting for solutions. But the new way is problem centric. It is what are the words that people are using to describe their problems? And those are the words that need to show up on your homepage. For example, quote, if I have to work another weekend fixing spreadsheets um, and copying and pasting data from 10 different file versions, I will think I will quit my job. That is a statement of a problem from somebody in a company somewhere. That person is not talking about a solution. Person is talking about a problem.
Right.
Now, if you have words like that on your homepage because you're selling a product that actually helps organizations move away from that sort of model of copy and pasting Excel with more of a platform, then your homepage is going to come up on search in the very near future. I'm talking about 2024. And that's something that most companies today, 99% of the companies aren't even aware of how AI is going to change the game around search. They're going to be problem centric, not solution centric.
So I would love to understand more about the technology of that at some point, but um, let me go in the other direction rather than down deeper. Let me go kind of to net out the bottom line for people that might look at this and at least have some inkling that there's a problem with what they're doing. You know, why should somebody buy from you ultimately?
Yeah. So the only CEOs that work with us are the ones that have realized they've spent a shit ton of dollars on marketing that hasn't helped them sell. And they realize that their marketing, their story that they're using, the messaging they're using, the narrative about their product or service isn't landing. And it's typically because of the symptoms I'm talking about. It's typically because it's hype marketing, brag marketing. It's not problem centric. And so they already recognize that they're spending money on marketing, it's not working. And that's when we typically have a conversation. And I typically diagnose with the help of a GPT that I've trained to diagnose the top 19 problems that websites have and why they don't work, to describe what if they change their narrative around their story so it's problem centric, making their customer the hero instead of their product, and making and leading a movement towards a better way, leading a rebellion against the status quo instead of just promoting how great their product is.
So let me get to the so what. Okay, so they realize their marketing's not working, and you do your thing. What do they get out of it?
They
What's
get a
and
new
then
website, they get new sales materials, they get a GPT copywriter, get a whole narrative that they could write all their marketing content and have it turn into sales.
is there a sales delta? Is there a profitability improvement? What kind of impact does changing this approach from problem centric to advantage centric? What
Yeah.
impact does
So
that have?
most of our clients see at least a double to triple win rate improvement.
Wow. So you just get there's I have to assume that before you even get to a double or triple win rate, it increases their productivity of their marketing program, the number of leads they get, the number of at bats they get, the number of opportunities that convert, and then the number of opportunities that close.
Yeah.
Is there, when you start thinking about problem centric, the implication is that there's a higher value. So do they see better margins as well?
No, I think the biggest measure is if they're doing 30 demos and closing 2 deals, that's a massive waste. So after they work with us, they typically are doing 15 demos and they're closing 7. So they're doing less demos because they're disqualifying people who are unqualified, and that was also a big problem. That a lot of prospects can't tell your thing apart from anybody else, so they show up thinking that they need it, and after you've wasted your time, they realize they don't. Only because your homepage doesn't tell the right story, doesn't attract the right people, and disqualify the wrong people. So we have something called the magnetic messaging framework that solves those problems through better storytelling messaging right there on the homepage. Because I believe your most powerful, most important sales presentation is your homepage.
So, getting back to something you started with, is there what's the reaction of the marketing people versus the salespeople? And is there any finger pointing and turf war that goes on when you get involved? Because you're changing culture, you're changing the way people think about it. For the longest time, right? Everybody says, if you build it, they will come, or
Right.
57% of the decision process, and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
So most marketers that CEOs hire will create happy horse shit for their CEOs who love it because it talks about how wonderful the CEO's product and company is. But we play a different game. We stand for the prospects that feel that the risk of changing is too great, is too much versus the risk of staying the same. And marketers don't do that. Marketers don't speak for those people. And those are the people that CEOs need to sell to because CEOs are selling to companies that have to make a change. And if people don't believe they need to make a change, then all the happy horse shit that you put in front of people is not going to help them change, no
Wow.
matter how low cost it is, even if it's free.
Yeah. Wow, stunning. Man after my own heart. So, in terms of promoting your business, how do you do that? What's working? What's not working?
Right. So I tried a lot of different things over the past 3 years, and the thing that we are find is working now are monthly live webinars. Um, and we send we have an email campaign that goes it's a cold email campaign that goes out to about 20,000 people and CEOs that we've identified through some marketing research might be interested. And each month we get about 70 to 100 registrants, and we get about 30 to 40 people showing up to a webinar. And it's about an hour and 10-minute webinar masterclass. And it's really fun and highly participatory. And then we get about 7 to 10 people, CEOs that are booking calls after that. And then we close 3 to 4 per month. And the deals are worth between 20 to 40K. And there's ongoing work for these customers too, but those are the initial. Um, so,
So,
and
in
with that works, but the what if I tell you what doesn't work?
right, that's what I was going to ask. Right.
What doesn't work is we tried to just do cold emailing to invite people to meetings. And so I did that, and I calculated out that I had booked in 1 month 56 meetings. So people raised their hand. They said, "I'm interested. I want to meet with you." Uh, Out of all 56, some of them were absolutely exhausting. Some of them were a huge waste of time. Most of them were. In fact, only closed one deal out of 52 meetings. One deal. And I went through that journey because I was gonna say, "I'm gonna do this until I close one deal because I need to get the metrics. I need to see, like, at what point does this actually work?"
Right.
And that one deal, it wasn't actually an ideal customer either. It was sort of like, "Okay, we'll do it anyway," kind of
Right.
customer. It wasn't a and and so what I realized is that what's missing from those conversations is the credibility and authority. And when someone comes to a masterclass and they have a live discussion and they get huge value from the 5 shifts that they need to make to grow sales, amplify their marketing, even get investment, um, they get massive value and they say, you know what, or they recognize how bad their marketing is and they really want to get to the next level. Then they book a meeting. And those meetings that I have, those 7 to 11 meetings per month, are delightful. Pretty much most of the time, they're delightful because the people who show up to those meetings are like, oh my gosh, we got these 9 things from your meeting. Here are my notes. And this is great, but we're really suffering. And I really appreciate your time. Like, help us. What do we need to do to turn the ship around? And so basically, the nature of those meetings are doctor patient relationships. The frame is immediately like that versus the 50 meetings or 52 meetings I had to one close. Those are more like, okay, Greg, tell me why should we buy from you? Like what how could you help us? And that's a bit exhausting, to be honest. Like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to tell you why you should buy from me. Go enjoy yourself. Go pleasure yourself. Have fun. And when I some of these people, when I began to ask questions, so how's things going? Oh, things are going great. No, we're selling like crazy. Oh, that's great. So why are we talking today? Oh, and I just was curious about what you do. Like, I don't want to waste my time. So it's like problem centric is the way to go. Unless someone realizes they have a problem, there's nothing for us to talk about.
It seems to me, though, that if you're doing these webinars, you're not just creating credibility, you're establishing rapport,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. Massive. There's some people that come to my meetings and there's love gushing from the other side. I've never met them before, but there's love. I really feel it. They're grateful and there's love and this rapport that is unbelievable. Like, how do you do that? How do you create that with total strangers? And the way to do that is I host these meetings and people not see me live in front of a group of people and they see how I behave, how I conduct myself, how I manage the group and how I provide value. There's enormous opportunity to provide to create that rapport with a group of people. So
So your sales experience, I'll bet, comes in to play in terms of how you do your marketing, because the conversations you must be having with these people communicate empathy and listening. I mean, marketing spew isn't listening, right?
no, yeah,
So
yeah. No, so
interesting.
that's what we found is working, and until the day it doesn't work, we're gonna go that route. And I have invested about $20,000 in teaching me and getting trained on optimal structures for webinar funnels and webinar live master classes and how it should be structured, how the call to actions work. And so I'm highly trained with how to do that because I invested in myself to become an expert in that area as a way that I'm realizing like that's the way I want to build my business through these live master classes that are free, by the way. They're free, but it's the way that we get business right now.
So wait a minute. You're over like 21 years old
Yeah.
and you're still learning? Sorry, I had to I had to ask it that way. So, but isn't that like the only way to survive these days is to continue to learn and adapt and
Yeah, well, first of all, I mentioned ChatGPT. If you talk to 1,000 people, 10,000 people right now, um, you ask them exactly how are you using ChatGPT. Most people, 90% of them are using the free version. Maybe 10% are using the paid version. And of the 10%, probably only 1% are actually training GPTs to help them create stuff, do stuff, manage stuff. And so it's the work with AI is more of a learning. It's a co-creation. That's why I call ourselves now a co-intelligent marketing agency. When I say co-intelligent, because I believe AI is going to go away. The artificial, nothing's artificial about it. It's more of a collaborative working process that people are doing now. That the people who are winning using AI, it's a collaborative process. It's not just like, "Oh, I know AI and we use AI." No, it's not like that. It's I am exploring, experimenting, and collaborating with AI to generate amazing content that's helping my clients double, triple their sales.
fabulous. Well, at the risk of bringing calls to Newcastle, any is there any area of your marketing or sales program or business development or growth program that you think isn't clicking or might need some
Yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, I am open to other ways to get business besides the monthly webinar. I'm open to exploring, and I wanna do that. I always wanna have a little research and development, function going, on my team to figure out, like, what could we do better? How do we get more customers to find them and for them to find us? And so, there isn't a day that passes where I'm just like, my antennas are up, like, should I experiment with that? Should I explore that? I mean, I waste a lot of time sometimes creating things. Like last week, I spent about 4 hours creating what I thought would be a community, a group around co co-intelligence, uh, helping people adopt co-intelligence for their business. I spent a lot of time, but like I stopped that because I realized the time and effort to build that community is just too massive. But that's okay. I mean, I spent a lot of time each week experimenting, exploring, failing, and moving on. And I think if you're not looking at your business as a freaking experiment in the first place, it's gonna fail. It's not gonna work. I mean, business is an experiment, in my opinion.
fabulous. Anything else people should know about your company, your business? Give you 2
Uh,
seconds to plug it a little bit here.
yeah, I think I see Pitch Kitchen becoming by 2027 the one of the top 3 global co-intelligent marketing agencies in the world. And that's because our forward-leaning stance with using AI, not just for what we do for our clients, but delivering to them essentially a robot that will write their marketing, cut down their marketing costs, and allow them to use the problem-centric framework in their marketing. Because it's almost like garbage in, garbage out. I mean, just having AI write marketing content, if you think about it, AI was trained on the last 10 years of marketing content, including Enron's annual report. And if you know anything about the history of Enron, you know what their marketing talked about. And that's what the kind of marketing, the shitty marketing you get out of GPT. But if you train it with the right problem centric frameworks and hero centric frameworks, you're going to get exactly what you want, exactly the story that you want to tell. And that's what's crushing it right now in business marketing.
Fabulous. Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to hear your story and
Absolutely. Thank you.
hope we get the opportunity to talk again.
Great. Thanks, Jeff.
Let me